GRIDLIFE's racing season might have come to an end at Heartland Park last month, but it doesn't mean the community stops competing. When the leaves fall and cars head into garages, drivers and fans from around the country and the world convene on iRacing to race together on Tuesday nights under the GRIDLIFE banner. Tonight we kick off a fun 5-week series with a grab bag of cars and tracks exploring historic, unique, and even purposely silly combinations. We kick things off at the National Park of Speed, Road America, with turn-of-the-century GT1 GT cars. Heat racing knockout style, and it all begins now with Tuesday Fun Run, week number 1. Hi everybody, Kyle Heyer, joined by Benson Ty tonight. Benson, welcome aboard for the first ever GRIDLIFE broadcast that you've been a part of. Glad to have you here with us, but we're taking on Road America, the National Park of Speed. This place is big, this place is fast, and it's a whole lot of fun.
Thanks for having me, Kyle. Yeah, I'm very excited to see how this combination of car and track races. I personally haven't had a chance to drive this combination, but just seeing the times in practice, this is going to be an interesting one.
It will be a lot of fun. Qualifying is kicking off here in just a moment. Our format for tonight is the same format we've always done. We're going to have up to 63 people enter. We've got 62 at the moment, so 62 drivers here in the server. We're going to have 2 heats of 31, 15 advance from each of those heats. Then there's a last chance qualifier where only 10 will advance from those bottom 15 and that 30-car race. Qualifying is underway and cars on track now, and one of the cars on track is our GLTC champion from 2022. That's Tom O'Gorman in the number 94. He was the fastest car in practice, and I think he's going to be a tough one to beat tonight, Benson.
Indeed, he's shown very good consistency between real life and in the sim, so it'll be a tough challenge to match his times.
ASM and Hawk performance on that car. DJ Alessandrini, of course, as always, is here at Lizard Brains podcast on the side of the car. He's a new competitor to Sunday Cup, but has raced GLTC as recently as Lime Rock Park this season, paired up with Kevin Zhu in a familiar Honda Civic SI, and many more drivers to talk about. Matt Corrins in the Falcon Aston Martin, one of the drivers that ran up front all last season in our Esports Championship, the Winter Touring Car Classic. He's back, as are many more, including Alex Artea. He's got the turn-in concepts of the Not Fast Motorsports livery on his car. Eric Dallariva, Kevin Zhu, and many, many more, Benson. So there's the who's who of GridLife iRacers here. 2 cars, though, on the night. You see one of them, the Corvette C6R GT1. This car is ground-pounding. It's fast. It's got a big, heavy V8, and it makes great noises. This is a fun car, too, but we also have that Aston Martin DBR9, which also makes great noises from a V12 under the hood.
Yeah, Kyle, 2 very different platforms. One, a dedicated sports car, and the other, essentially a GT car turned sports car.
Yeah, there's a good look at the Aston Martin DBR9 that Tomo is in right now. And again, these cars are not spec cars. They handle differently here in the iRacing service, and they have unique characteristics. Tomo has elected to go with the Aston Martin for whatever reasons he's chosen. Across the line now for Tomo. First lap on the board. What is it going to? Well, actually, he's starting a flying lap, a long out lap here at Road America. Jump down the list and find some more drivers to talk about. Here's James Howden, the number 41, rejoining the ranks. Longtime time attacker and new GridLife Touring Cup competitor as of the last couple of years. Houghton's another quick one here, Benson. I'm not sure that he's got the pace, at least here in iRacing with this particular group, but he is an avid iRacer, especially on the oval side.
Indeed. I've definitely ran into him a couple times in the GridLife competitions, but interesting to see how he stacks up tonight.
Ryan Christoph is another one on the board here. There he is, the 46, another GLTC competitor running the Corvette, and he works for General Motors, and as far as I know, if I understood his most recent social media post correctly, he works at GM in the basically helping tune the cars. Now the new Corvette Z06, the C8 generation car, his tune is on that car, so really exciting stuff for Ryan. Has experience driving cars overseas as well on the Nürburgring, so he'll be one to watch. Darian Taggart, a competitor in Falcon Club TR this season in his Honda S2000 in GridLife. Paul Darling, another esports competitor. We have 62 people in here, Benson. It is a packed full grid tonight.
Yeah, it's great to see so many familiar faces and also a lot of new names. So it'll be interesting to see how the top of the leaderboard shakes out and see if any of our new competitors can climb towards the top.
Yeah, some new names I don't necessarily recognize from the GridLife community, but perhaps from the SCCA or others. Jameson Huffman is one of them in that number 44, that awkwardly flesh-colored car rolling down the back straightaway towards Canada Corner. Ryan Fitch is one of our community drivers, but how about Brian Highcotter here? And he's got, no surprise, a Rick Motec livery on this car. He's got the blue and orange that typically resides on his GT Radial sponsored car over on the GLTC side. But here's Highcotter this time running a Corvette.
Yeah, and I think if we go back, that may have been a Nicolas Cage livery on that previous car.
Yes, that is on, who was that? That was
the 44, I believe.
Yes, Jameson Huffman. Oh boy, that is cursed. Absolutely cursed. All right, so times are coming across the board. Tomo's got the fastest one right now. Alessandrini second. Austin Cobb we haven't mentioned yet. Here's a preview of his livery for next season in his GLTC Miata. And Benson, we mentioned about GridLife iRacers, kind of a melding of the community. A lot of the drivers here are competitors in GridLife in the real world, and they use this as a test bed for their liveries or as kind of a place to put their livery once they design it in the real world. Tomo is an example of that.
It's great to see, some previews for some of the competitors that have been with us for a couple of years, and hopefully we'll see some more new designs in the short term.
Yep. Towards the top of the hill there at turn number 6. Briefly, let's talk about the racetrack here for a moment, just because I think it's important to get an idea of how Road America is laid out for those that might not be familiar with it from overseas or beyond. 14 corners here, Benson. It all starts with that run down the front straightaway towards turn number 1, a little bit downhill into turn 3, and then it's a long sprint under the Sargento Bridge down towards probably your best passing opportunity at turn number 5.
Yep, and you have to get that downhill braking zone just right, or you risk in these cars locking up the front tires.
Then it's over to turn 6 at the top of the crest under the Corvette Bridge. 7, 8, and 9 leads you into the carousel, then turn 11 through the kink down to 12. That is Canada Corner up through Bill Mitchell Bend at turn 13, and then you return on corner 14 to finish out your lap. More competitors we've seen before. in iRacing and to the real world. Peter Zhang, competitor in Falcon Club TR this season. And here he heads down the straightaway towards turn number 7. A lot of Corvettes here in the field. Not a lot of takers to the Aston Martin, and I wonder if there's a pace difference between the two or it's just a comfort thing for most of these drivers.
It seems like it's a comfort thing. It looks like Tomo is running the Aston very quickly, but most of the other competitors in the top 10 are running the Corvette.
I'm trying to see if there's anybody else running the Aston. Looking down the list, here's Dana Basinski. He's running the Aston Martin, the popular teal. He jumps up to 23rd there in qualifying. 24th now is, it's like Shreyas Venkataraju has jumped up to 22nd. And with qualifying complete, only a couple moments to lay down your times. Azmath Muhammad. Morgan Burkhardt jumps up into 3rd place. A strong run. There's another Aston Martin up in the mix. And Paul Darling jumps up towards the top, 2nd quickest on the board in that number 55.
Oh, so we now have a top 3 of all Aston Martins, so maybe they have the pace advantage here.
That might be the case as we head down to the racetrack here in just a moment to kick off the first of 2 heat races. Now we're going to have a last chance qualifier as well, but as you can see here on the top of the screen, the top left of the screen, 15 advance is what you're looking at there. Heat 1, 15 of these drivers will advance to the feature event. We'll do the same thing again. These are the odd qualifiers. We'll have the even qualifiers in the next heat. Then that 3rd heat will be an LCQ, where we'll take the bottom 15 from each heat, and the top 10 from those will advance to a 40-driver feature. Very short pace lap here. Not a lot of time to heat up your tires and brakes, Benson, and that's going to matter because turn 1 is a pretty heavy braking zone.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how the drivers manage traffic between getting that race start up over the hill and into turn 1.
The grid is on the left-hand side of the screen. O'Gorman is your pole sitter for this one. Perhaps no surprise there, but have a look at the field. It is a stout one. They're still gridded up here towards the back. We're looking from high above. Corvettes and Aston Martins littering the field here. 2 very interesting, unique cars. V12 in the Aston, V8 in the Corvette. In about 40 seconds, we're going to take them down to turn 1 at north of 160 miles an hour. And again, the top 15 of this group will advance straight to the feature. They're done running until we get to that 20-minute feature race a little bit later. So lap 1 hints, Benson, you've been in this mix before. What's the key to success here to make it through to the next round?
First of all, getting a good start. You don't really want to get jumped by your row mate. And secondly, avoiding stack-ups, making sure you're looking far enough ahead to avoid any possible incidents or stack-ups that could happen in front of you.
Keep an eye on for stack-ups. Again, this is our heat field, but there are 31 drivers. Eric Jensen, Sam Alvarez, Derek James, the last drivers in this group. A couple other GLTC competitors back here. Tyler Starr in the number 36. Richard Sawicki in the number 528. He's back here. Shane Patza, who runs in Time Attack as well, and many others. Evan Zhu, a GLTC competitor. Dana Basinski, we already mentioned, Time Attack competitor. Runner-up in the championship this season in Falcon Club TR as the field rolls up towards turn 14. And it's going to be 10 minutes is the duration of this, which is going to be approximately 6 laps. So not a lot of time to get the job done if you're not up towards the front. Field coming up over this crest here and getting set to start. O'Gorman is in command, and we are going racing in GRIDLIFE iRacers. Tuesday, fun run, week number 1. Green flag flies, we're racing at Road America.
Yeah, and Tomo gets a really good start there, really setting the pace quick early.
Turn 1, nice and tidy so far, everybody behaving themselves. And again, the battle is not so much for the lead as it is for 15th place. Matt Adams in that 43. That's that Apex car that slid just ahead of Jamison Huffman. Oh, it's big carnage behind. Dana Basinski's around, and a couple others are as well. And big mess there. What happened? They were doing so well to start.
Yeah, it looks like somebody got turned on the exit of 3.
Ooh, it was one of the turn-in cars, that Peter Zhang, that went around backwards at first. There's some assistance here, perhaps.
Looks like we got, just a little bit.
Because it's David Santel that got into the side of him there and just creates this big stack up and not really anywhere for anybody to go. And still some slipping and sliding at the exit of 6.
Ooh.
Up front, though,
Yeah.
O'Gorman's free and clear. The battle's for 15th. Scott Patza is the one in control of that spot right now, and this number 18 is Dodge-styled Corvette. He's the transfer spot. Everybody ahead of him, Val DiPietro, Shreyas Venkatarazu, Dane Patza, and more, they're all transferring at the moment.
Yeah, and it'll be an interesting battle to see if any of the cars that were involved in that lap 1 incident can come back and fight for that transfer spot.
Here's Mike Leader on board with him as we head down towards Canada corner, chasing 16th place Derek James. Needs to pass Derek and then catch Scott to advance. They're catching him pretty quickly here, and there's a car spun at corner exit there. That's Shreyas Venkatarazu, and he's out. So move the transfer spot here to Derek James. That's the car just ahead of Leader here. This is the transfer spot. Now it's going to be Leader in as Val DiPietro goes for a slide.
Mike locking the front right up there slightly going into 14.
Matt Corrins, Matt Adams battling for 4th place. Adams in the Apex car, Corrins in the Falcon car. Oh, really wide on the exit there, Benson. That's walking a tightrope on the curb.
Yeah, any more and he probably would have gotten spun around there, and now this long run into 5.
Matt Adams got a great run here. He's going to try to outbrake, but no ABS on these cars, Benson. That's a challenge. A lot of the cars these guys are used to running here in the GridLife iRacers League have ABS, and they do have traction control, but as Matt Adams saw there, not super effective.
Yeah, these GT1 cars really allow you to get a lot of slip angle, and sometimes it's a little bit too much.
Oh, look at Corrins slicing and dicing on Huffman here in the braking zone. And then into the carousel, Benson. This is a high-speed area of the racetrack all the way through here into Canada corner.
Let's see if he can hang it, get a good run into...
Off into the kink here. Tucks it in, maybe a little bit of aero push following that 44 car in front. And look at the stack up. How about Brian Highcotter in the 0-5? Look at him come forward now. He's got Eric Dalariva, even Nagovin behind. This is all a battle for 5th. Matt Adams is the one that they're trying to chase. And he spins. Adams is out of control at the exit of Canada.
Yeah, and Highcotter had to check up a little bit there to avoid that spinning car. So maybe Dalariva can make a move on him into 14.
It just walked on him. Just the rear end stepped out. And around he went. So Adams loops the car. He'll continue. He's still in the transfer spot. He's still in 10th, so he's okay there. Derek James is the guy in the transfer spot now in 15th place. Dana Masinski is behind him, and he needs to pass a car to move on. He's got Peter Zeng behind him. He needs to do the same thing.
Yeah, and we'll see if the 2 Club TR competitors can work together to get past James there.
And Derek James has a ton of nose damage. This car does feature iRacing's new damage model, which is a bummer when you are involved in incidents. There's some smoke ahead, and wow, Azmath Mohammed's got a ton of damage, and he's out. He was in a transfer position, and that car is absolutely demolished.
Yeah, the whole nose coming off of that
Oh,
car.
man. Here's a look. This is into and out of turn number 1.
The 2 cars ahead of him get involved and spins back across the racetrack.
Oh, and he gets hit again. That's what tore the nose piece off it. So that will take out Azmath Mohammed. We'll move back into the transfer spot. It's going to be Peter Zeng grabbing it. Derek James has that transfer spot. Now Michael Derby is going to try to go by, and he will. He's got some damage, but despite that, moves up into the transfer position in 15th place. And no, Dana Basinski spins.
Oh, that's so unfortunate for Dana there. Hopefully he can get it back together and get back going.
Is this just a case of getting in here too hot, just overcooks it, and it just steps out round backwards on him?
Thankfully he keeps it out of the gravel and it's still going, but a lot of ground to make up now.
He is in 17th place now. Might have some attrition here. I was just reminded by Adam Crane, who might be watching this right now, that Matt Adams won the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Canada in 2021 in the GT4 category. He was really, really good behind the wheel of a sim racing car and has gotten around Steven Nagovin up into 6th now overall. Up in front, O'Gorman leads, but the battle for third heating up still. Here comes Matt Corrins on Huffman here for third place. Side by side into turn 1 here, Benson.
Yeah, and Huffman able to keep it around the outside for now, down into 3. See who gets the better run out of here, down into 5. Dealing with some lap traffic as well.
Definitely some lap traffic. Trying to see, that's the 45 of Sam Alvarez. Drivers are door to door now. They're going to have to split them 3 wide as they head down the backstretch.
Oh, this can get tight, especially 3 wide.
Corrins is going to lift. I don't think he wanted to go 3 wide there. He's going to try again down the inside at 5. Oh, man, the car spins. The 45 does. Alvarez,
real bad.
Don't back up into traffic. Get back rolling. And Dana Basinski, by the way, is moving back into the transfer position. Adam Kobach now needs it.
Kobach running that redshift suspension or redshift competition livery on the Aston.
On the backstretch now, Kobach needs this position. He could probably rely on attrition at this stage, but he's going to go right on by Dana down here into turn 5. Oh, Dana way outbrakes Kobach here, but he's going to outbrake himself and let the 85 on through and drops out of a transfer spot.
Yeah, and the 85 seems to have a bit of damage on that nose. I wonder when it got that.
Probably, it could have been from that early collision at the start of the race, given how far back the 85 started. But it doesn't seem like it's hurting him all that much, so he should be able to continue. And Morgan Burkhardt, by the way, is keeping pace with Tom O'Gorman. Tom does have a 2-second lead, but Morgan was only about 2/10 off of Tom last time by in that Martini liveried Aston. Jamison Huffman not too far back. And we just got the white flag. That was borderline of whether or not this is going to be white flag or not, and it will be. So we're going to have one more time around here. Tomo leads the way.
Yeah, and it's been pretty smooth sailing for him. He hasn't really had anybody challenge him for the lead after that really strong start.
No, I think the vast majority of people that will be directly fighting with Tom just so happen to qualify into that outside row, so they're going to be in that second heat, which will probably be a bit more fierce up front than this one was, but Tom will have to face them in the feature. Matt Corrins down the backstretch, still trying to run down Huffman here for podium. This is all this is going to do is set their starting position in terms of their row. So if Matt rolls off 4th in this race, he's going to start 7th inside row 4 for the feature race a little bit later tonight. Back to that transfer spot. Here's Dana Basinski trying to reel in Kobach. He needs that spot or needs someone else to make a mistake ahead of him.
Yeah, it's one last lap to do it, and he's not quite close enough to be in contention here down into 5, which is arguably the best spot to pass in this. Oh, Kobach runs wide.
Runs wide, but Basinski can't close. Val DiPietro's just up ahead. I wonder if these two tangle. Can Dana take advantage of it? Big lockup there by Kobach, but doesn't slow him down.
It looks like the gaps are stabilizing, but still half a lap left. Anything can happen here.
15 seconds left in the race. That means we're coming back to the checkered flag. Tom O'Gorman set a fervent pace up front. This is just going to confirm that he will start on pole in this race. As he comes up over the crest, he's going to pick up the checkered flag and gets the job done here. Morgan Burkhardt, 2nd place. The rest of the field comes across Huffman, Corrins, Heitkotter, Matt Adams, Orhart, Sharon, leader, and trouble for Nagovin on the final lap. Where's Basinski? Can he take advantage? He's too far back.
Looks like Dana will be starting on pole in the last chance qualifier if nothing else shakes up between now and the end of this lap.
Yeah, it looks like if there's no last corner spins, which it doesn't look like there will be, Basinski is going to miss the automatic transfer. Peter Zhang, by the way, up to 10th. That was a really good late session climb for him. Nagovin drops to 12th. But for Dana Basinski, he's going to have to try again in the LCQ. Only 10 drivers will advance in that one. So Derek James and others, let's have a look at our results very briefly before we move on to the next one. There's your top 10 and 4 of the top 5, all Aston Martins here. But this is really the interesting one. 15th on up are your qualifiers. 16th on down will have to fight again in the LCQ. And Heat 2 with the next group of qualifiers coming up next.
Yeah, and it looks like it's very blocked in terms of you have a block of Astons and then a block of Corvettes. And then it's going to be interesting to see how this final heat goes.
Tom O'Gorman gets it done. Burkhardt, Huffman, Matt Corrins, Heitcott are your top 5, but the top 15, that's what matters. Kobach, DiPietro, Patsa, and Nagovin. The other Patsa all are in, as well as the rest of the top 10. So big carnage there on the opening lap, Benson. I think we all could have predicted that was going to happen, but I mentioned earlier that the other majority of drivers that I think are going to fight Tomo, thinking guys like Paul Darling, DJ Alessandrini, Austin Cobb, they're all in this second heat, and that's going to create a really interesting race because they're going to have to all beat each other for the front row start to battle up against Tomo.
Yeah, and it looks like there's a more significant mix up at the top with, I believe, both Paul and DJ running Astons, but I believe Austin is in the Corvette.
Yeah, Austin's in the Corvette. A lot of new names in here. Brenner Del Mar is new to me. I think Victor Tanaka is new to us. Steve Luca, by the way, that's the number 30. I believe, as are not deceiving me, that is this car. Steve Luca is a competitor in our street category in GRIDLIFE, and I believe he took home the championship trophy this season in track battle in Street GT. James Houghton's in that Pennzoil 41. Anthony Montello runs with us in HPDE with the Lazy Rocket car. Ryan Christoph, we mentioned earlier, Darian Taggart. Many more. Thomas Moss, Josh Halka, last row, 30th and 31st. Moss GLTC, Josh Halka, street class, time attack. All right, doubled up again. We'll see if we can get through turn 1, lap 1 without any incidents this time.
Yeah, the field much more bunched up this time. Paul really controlling that slow start until now.
And there is the green flag. We're racing in heat number 2. 15 drivers advance. Darling gets a free, clear start. Alessandrini immediately goes defensive on the 136 of Austin Cobb, who shifts to the left. Victor Tanaka is going to follow, and look at this. Oh, they're going to crash in turn 1,
no.
And that's a big crash. Takes out the 16 and more, the 30 of Luca, and that is a big pileup.
It's so unfortunate. It looks like they just had a slight touch going into that braking zone. It takes both of them out for this race.
Now Luca and Brenner Del Mar are the victims of that one. Up front, though, down the backstretch, Darling leads the way. Alessandrini's got a big run in the big V8 Corvette, passing the grass to the inside.
Oh, big braking zone, but Alessandrini thinks better of it.
One car off to the driver's right there. Locking up the brakes here. Cold brakes, cold tires on this opening lap. And a couple cars caught out. Ryan Christoph is one of them. Drops back to 13th place. Chaotic start, but maybe not quite as chaotic as the previous race as Darling tries to sprint away in the Aston up front.
Yeah, it looks like Darling's pulling not too much of a gap, but oh, another car into the wall there.
Alex Crawford in the number 58. He's found his way off course. That's going to shift the transfer position to Alex Artea in the Turn-In Concepts Not Fast Motorsports car. He is the guy, the last man, that automatically transfers in at the moment.
Yeah, look at Josh Halka from 31st on the grid. I believe he's up into 23rd at the moment.
Yes, but he bounced off the fence there in the kink. Duncan James gets a bit of a heavier piece of it.
Looks like he's going to pull. Oh, that car is not looking
No.
too hot.
Definitely seen better days. The Darling has completely sprinted away. Cobb and Alessandrini fought for second, and Cobb's got it. Alessandrini drops to third, and Victor Tanaka. I think I've heard this name before, but I don't recall where from. Running fourth right now, chasing that podium spot.
Yeah, I believe he's run with us in GRIDLIFE before. I think I recognize
Whoa.
that name as well. Ooh.
Cobb loose out of turn 2. Almost got into Alessandrini on the defensive.
Yeah, Alessandrini, let's see where he picks the inside for this run down into 5. This super long run into this very steep downhill braking zone.
defending from Victor. Side by side here, tight quarters, and DJ's going to use that Corvette and muscle on by the teal Aston. James Houghton up into 5th place, by the way. There's the 41. Two-time winner in GLTC this season. Back at Mid-Ohio and then at Circuit of the Americas to kick off the season. Ryan Christoph, wow, look at Taylor Castelline in the 3 and Ryan Christoph, and now throw Justin Hall in the blue and yellow car. This is all a battle for 11th.
Yeah, it looks like Castelline had to give up some time there. Maybe we got a cut track, but looks like Christoph.
These were our transfer spot drivers, Nathan Adler and Ryan Finch. They got together at the exit of turn 8.
Just gets a much better run and runs into the side of him.
Get hooked together. They are still the transfer cars, though. Nick Nelson on the attack. There's the bent rear wing on the 48. It's going to be treacherous here through the kink. You see the car wiggle. Nick Nelson wants to transfer in, and he's going to go side by side.
Yeah, he's got the inside run down into Canada corner, but looks like we've got another competitor joining the fray here.
That's Cofford. We saw it spin before. The 26 is going to loop it. Driver's driving too hard. Cofford up to 15th. He's the transfer car. Nathan Adler now on the attack in 16th. He's out and wants in.
Yeah, and now he's just got to focus on getting to that transfer spot and reeling him in.
About 5 minutes remaining here in this heat. Heat 2. We have our LCQ and then our feature race to wrap up the racing this evening. Carwile and Mike Young battling for 7th, and throw Dakota Tabler in there as well. Tabler?
I'm not sure. Don't recognize that name. Looks like Darren Taggart is trying to latch onto the back of this pack as well and maybe pick up another spot.
4-horse race for 7th place. And up for 2nd, it is getting heated again. Alessandrini got back by Austin Cobb. Victor Tanaka looking real wild behind the 136, trying to grab some time. 2 tires in the dirt at the exit of 7.
It looks like Cobb is going to have to possibly go a little defensive here with Tanaka looking so racy.
Corner speeds over 100 miles an hour through this section. GT1 cars have pretty significant aero. It's not quite as efficient as a modern GT3 car, but you're just carrying so much straightaway speed into those corners.
Yeah, another bit of grass there from Tanaka. See if he tries to make a move down into the Canada corner.
The binders there trying to get it woed up. And the 35 car is off. I think he's a lap down already, or yes, that was Duncan James. He already had an issue earlier. Carwile slips up. Mike Young is on through. This is getting real scrappy back here, Benson.
Yeah, and maybe a slowdown for Carwile.
Yeah, looked like it had to give up some time here. So 3 minutes to go. We're going to be coming to, I don't think, well, Paul's got pretty good pace here too. I think even better than Tomo did. How about this fast lap? A 1:59, 1:67. I think that's the fastest lap we've seen in the heat so far tonight, which means that we'll probably get this race truncated by 1 lap as well. They would otherwise be 6 laps, but the pace by the leader in these 10-minute races has shortened the race by a lap. That's how fast they're going.
Yeah, it's great to see them in clean air running these laps. We'll see how it goes when we pit Paul and Tomo together in the final.
Montello on the outside of Houghton, and he just could not maintain the same braking performance as James. Watch this, heading down the backstretch, has this big run coming and wants to do something with it, so he goes to the right here, Benson, and then later on the brakes, but just too late, and then hits the curb, and it just won't stop.
Yeah, and locks it up a couple times there, trying to get it back around. Loses a bunch of time. Oh, very close.
Justin Hall drops a spot to Ryan Christoph, who takes advantage of it. Montello spins at 8, and so does Taggart in the 51. Synchronized spinning back here. They need to get rolling because Alex Cofford's in turn 7, and he's the transfer driver.
Yeah, it looks like they've gotten rolling again, though, so not
Nope.
quite.
Taggart didn't. He's still spun around.
Oh, no.
And he's going to be out of this one if he can't get turned back around. He will not, so Taggart is eliminated. He'll have to fight it out in the LCQ.
Yeah. That's unfortunate for Taggart. Looks like he got some more grass on his tire. Just couldn't get the grip together.
Alessandrini in second. Paul Darling is leading the way by a whole lot, and that time just barely. How about a 1:58.998, an incredibly quick lap for Paul Darling. And we get the white flag this time through as we go back to the battle for third. Austin Cobb's got it. Victor Tanaka wants it.
Yeah, it looks like Tanaka was about 0.2 of a second quicker over that last lap than Cobb, so he's just got to find his spot and pick it.
Ninth place under fire as well. Alex Arteat in the number 15. Taylor Castelline in the 3. That's that pink and white car. Then Ryan Kristoff. All the battle for ninth place. Well inside the transfer, so don't get yourself in a pickle when you're already transferring onto the feature.
Yeah, that's a mistake I've seen happen multiple times to newer drivers who think that they have to claw for every single position while they're up in the safer transfer spots, and then one mistake later, you gotta fight in the last chance qualifier.
Braking zone at turn 5, one of the most challenging on the racetrack. Everybody gets it done well that time. Nathan Adler is your transfer driver in 15th. Everybody ahead of him is qualified for the feature, and that battle is not that close, so we'll stay on the close one, and it's the one for 9th.
And this 4-car train looks like Hall runs a little wide, a little wobbly out of 6th there.
Yeah, Corvette, Aston, Corvette through the carousel. Not Fast having a really good showing here in the heats, top 10s for both Peter Zhang and Arteat if he could just hang on for half a lap.
Yeah, he's got to defend into Canada corner here as Paul Darling finishing up this race here. Commanding lead.
Checkered flag for Paul Darling up and over the hill, and commanding lead, I'll say. Wins that one handily. He will start on the outside of the front row in the feature event. Alessandrini will start in second. As for that 9th place battle, through Bill Mitchell Bend here, 2 corners left.
Yep, this is it. Got to get a good exit out of this last corner to get a good run, possibly a little bit of draft to assist you. See if you can get past Arteat.
Taylor's got a good run here to the inside. Drag race to the start-finish line. Who's going to get it? Arteat by 5/100ths of a second, and Nathan Adler is your 15th place driver. He will be the last to automatically transfer. Everybody ahead of Nathan is qualified for the feature race.
Yeah, and some disappointing runs for a couple of guys. Brenner Del Mar started in 5th, qualifies outside of the top 15.
Yeah, some disappointing runs for a couple of those drivers there. Paul Darling, Alessandrini, Tanaka be the first 3 outside row starters. Those top 10 are all advancing. Then add the next 5 on this page. Kristoff, Hall, Montello, Cofford, and Adler all transferring straight to the feature. The LCQ is up next, Benson. We're going to take the bottom 15 from each of those previous heats, and then we're only going to take 10 from that highest group, and then we're going to put those guys in the feature race as well. So it'll be 40 drivers total, 15 from each heat, and then 10 from this last chance qualifier coming up next.
Yeah, and for this last chance qualifier, if you're starting outside the top 10, it's a matter of either making some aggressive moves at the start or just avoiding any trouble that may happen at the start of this last chance qualifier.
We've seen lots of trouble. I think really the goal, if you're within striking distance at all, is just to keep the car on the road. And I think that's the most important piece. To finish first, you must first finish or something of the sort. I think the same is true for about 10th. As long as you just keep the car on the road, you're going to do just fine.
Yep, and we'll see how this goes. And some notable risers there. Joshua Halka starting in 31st. Manages to get up into 20th. He's that last transfer spot in the LCQ.
Well, the LCQ, only 10 drivers advance. Here's a good look at your starting lineup on the left-hand side of your screen. The pole sitter for this, though, is Dana Basinski. He is your front-running car. All he's got to do is keep the car on the road and keep it out in front. He'll be just fine. 10th place transfer would be Josh Halka in that 38 car if things stay as they are, but there's some fast drivers buried deep in the field. Looking squarely at Eric De La Riva, Adam Corrins, Nick Nelson in 12th, Kevin Zhu, Mitch Marhefka. All drivers, Shreyas Venkataraju, these are drivers that were involved in crashes, not that were slow, Benson. So there's more than 10 fast drivers that deserve to be in the feature race. It's going to be challenging for them to get there.
Yeah, and it all comes down to this first lap, really setting a tone for the rest of this last chance qualifier.
All right, so Dana Basinski is your front row starter alongside Brenner Del Mar. Now, if I recall correctly, Brenner was in the front 3 rows of heat number 2 and got involved in that collision that sent him around. We didn't get a good chance to look at it because it was on lap 1, turn 1. But Brenner has significant pace and might just be able to drive away.
We'll see how Dana decides to start this race, if he'll hold the field up a little bit more.
All right, time to go racing. LCQ, 10 drivers advance. The top half of that ticker, they move on. Everybody else will have to sit trackside for this one. Green flag, and Dana Basinski fires off.
A great start for Dana there, and Brenner filing in behind.
Good clean start. Brenner Del Mar, though, into turn 1. Got Derek James side by side with them. And one car off, that's Nick Nelson. That goes for a wild slide through the gravel trap. Otherwise, I think we have done okay on this initial start.
I won't get too excited. Oh,
yep.
There goes
Josh Holka.
Oh no.
Wonder if he had some help. Either way, battle up front. Here comes Brenner Del Mar to the inside of Basinski.
He's got about half a car length, but Dana better under the brakes.
Whoa, lock up. Derek James couldn't get it slowed down. He's going to run wide, lose all the spots he needs to transfer. Down to 8th place.
Well, that's unfortunate for Derek there. Just nearly taking out Dana there as well. That could have been a lot worse.
Jacob Bessemer in that 441. That's that yellow car. Kevin Zhu is in the purple and green behind. These drivers are all transferring. It's Adam Corrins in the number 10. It's the Falcon car.
Oh,
and big crash. Ooh, thanks, Benson. Big crash right in front. Can take out Mitch Marhefka and more as they all pile in.
It's another lap 1 incident that takes out 4 or 5 cars.
It's going to shake up the running order and give Richard Sawicki a chance to transfer here. He's 10th now.
Yeah, and looks like Del Mar running away with this from Dana.
Brenner Del Mar leads by half a second. Ryan Finch, Michael Derby, they're side by side for 3rd. Not going to fight this out too much. This is not the time to get scrappy over a spot if you're in the top 5. You're transferring if you're there. Don't throw it away on yourself. Jay DeVries, Jacob Bessemer are going to fight hard for this 11th spot because whoever wins this battle gets to go try to take down Richard Sawicki in 10th, and that would put them in the feature.
Yeah, and managing the car behind while you're trying to look ahead for this transfer spot is really important. You can't get caught napping, especially with these long straights.
Jacob Bessemer. Got Asma Muhammad behind him in 13th place. De La Riva and Derek James. Here comes Corrins up the inside for 8th place as well, and he'll grab that spot and force the overtake there on the 47 of Derek James.
Yeah, but let's see if James can use that slipstream and possibly look for another move into 5.
Here he comes.
To the inside.
Braking duel into 5. Corrins is going to beat him, but did he outdrive himself? I think he did. Little bit of a push, but he keeps it on the road for now. Bobbles and hangs on. Richard Sawicki's around it for turn 5. Oh, he gets clobbered. Ooh. No, that's Jay DeVries that spun.
Oh, that's another big incident. Pulls 3 cars out of the running. And nearly another one.
And then for 3rd place, Dana Basinski and Ryan Finch. Kevin Zhu is in the mix. I thought Kevin was in the purple car. He's actually in this tan and red one. The Lucky Strike car. All a battle for top 5 spots.
And here's where that balance of aggression and self-preservation comes into play. Trying to move up, but this will only get you to 31st at best. So really trying to pick your battles as Kevin looks to the outside for into Canada corner.
Yeah, took a look there, and you're right. The winner of this race will start 31st. It doesn't really feel much like a victory because as soon as you get the win, you realize you've got a lot of work still left on your hands. Basinski trying to cover from Ryan Finch, who's under fire from Zoo. This is a great battle here. But if they get caught up in this fight and end up taking each other out, they're all going to drop outside of the transfer spots.
And looks like Eric Della Riva is at the end of this train looking for a move on Matthew Howard.
6th right now, looking for 5th on Kevin Zoo here. If he can just complete this pass on Howard in that 72, that's that white and kind of crimson car ahead of him. Getting really scrappy for my liking. There goes Kevin Zoo.
Looks like he just tapped the rear bumper of Finch going into the braking zone at 3. Really bad break for him.
He's still in now, but he's got to get rolling because now he's out. That's how quick things change.
Especially with such a long run, he could lose another 3 or 4 spots by the end of it.
Matthew Howard, Lawrence, Derek James, Jacob Bessemer, Mitch Marhefka, the rest of the top 10. Here's Mitch, transfer position. Duncan James is behind him. He had a big crash in his first heat of the night and needs 1 spot to advance.
And he's just got to chase down Mitch as Mitch makes a mistake coming out of 6.
Down into turn 8 now. Duncan James is the transfer car. Marhefka loops it, and so does Richard Sawicki. They both loop the car around.
Looks like Kevin Zoo's getting back closer to the transfer spot up there, but still a little bit of work to do.
Got Tyler Starr ahead of him. Both of these drivers are GLTC competitors. Tyler Starr is a pace swap DRZ that he runs in GLTC, but Kevin Zoo's got a little bit more pace than him right now.
Looking for another move into Canada corner.
Braking duel. You see Tyler a little bit wobbly on the brakes, and he's in too deep.
Kevin Zoo moves up another spot into 12th, I believe now.
Yeah, 12th for Zoo. This is the battle for 8th. Derek James in the 47 and the 441 of Bessemer. And so Bessemer's 9th, the second to last driver that is in as it stands. And then that battle for 4th, Ryan Finch and Eric Della Riva. This is fierce stuff here. Eric cheats over to the right, had to run, but doesn't have enough of overlap to dive down there into turn 3.
Yeah, and now that brings Matt Howard back into the mix, going down this long straight.
Big dive from Eric on the brakes here into turn 5. Is he in too deep? No, gets it done. Nicely done.
Yeah, that inside line seems to allow for a slightly later break point, it seems.
Yeah, I think if you break too late on the outside line, as Duncan James, the transfer driver, is around at 5. If you break too late, you kind of get onto that rumble strip on the outside, and it just upsets the chassis balance. And you just can't get the thing slowed down at that stage. Curtis James becomes the last driver to transfer in to start 40th in the feature. Kevin Zoo, though, is he going to be quicker and try to run him down?
See, last time out, well, Zoo had the spin last time out, but we'll see how their pace compares when they cross the next, when they cross the line next.
Brenner Del Mar leads the way by 4 seconds at the front of this heat. And we'll be coming around to the white flag, so last lap next time by. Curtis James is the man that needs to hang on to the spot. He can't give this up to Kevin Zoo. This is the difference between qualifying into the race and missing it.
Yeah, it all comes down to a 1-lap run between these two drivers. Their lap times are like going across the stripe here.
4 miles what remains here for these drivers. Curtis James across the line. Let's see, he ran a 2:01.785, 2-minute .7 for Kevin Zoo. The difference is half a second. That's plenty of pace for Zoo to get by if he doesn't make a mistake.
Now let's see if he looks for move on the inside into 5 here. This next long run should get him up to the bumper of James.
Well, these guys fight for position. Derek James and Bessemer. This is a battle for 8th here into turn 5. Conservative braking by Bessemer. Didn't go for a dive down there. Maybe trying to size up a pass somewhere else. Canada Corner is your last real opportunity. If you're really crafty, you can make turn 14 your last shot, but that's reserved for if you know you can nail that exit and get the run up the hill.
Yeah, that run up the hill is super important, especially in such a close battle like we have here for the transfer spot.
Oh, side by side to the carousel. Basinski trying to hang on. This would put him 33rd if he stays where he is.
Eric looks like he's going to have a better run through the kink, though. Has to slightly tap the brakes just to give Dana a little bit of room.
Yeah, these cars have a little bit of aero push, meaning the car in front pushes air out of the way, and the trailing car can't use that on their aerodynamic components, so you end up with big-time understeer. That becomes a big challenge to navigate when you're trailing into high-speed corner. Brenner Del Mar, though, has all the air on his nose. He leads the way. He is going to win the LCQ here and transfer on. Basinski and Dollar River are going to oh, big crash behind him. Finch.
Oh, no.
Coming to the checkers. They need to get back rolling because they're not going to make it. They are not. Curtis James is coming. Kevin Zhu is coming. Dollar River's broken. He is out of the race.
Oh, that's a shame. We should see if we can take a look for that replay.
What happened here? I wonder if he just tried to get to the inside of Basinski with a big dive. Yeah, just comes from a long way back and just loops it on his own and gets hit so hard it breaks the rear suspension, and that's why he couldn't get rolling again.
That's an unfortunate break for Eric Dollar River, but like I said, it's a mixture, it's a balance of aggression and, self-preservation. Going for that last second dive cost him a spot in the final.
There's a look at your last chance qualifier. Transfer drivers: Brenner Del Mar, Michael Derby, Dana Basinski, Matthew Howard, Adam Corrence, Derek James, Jacob Bessemer, Ryan Finch, Curtis James, and Kevin Zhu. They are all advancing to the feature race here coming up next. These are the drivers that will miss out tonight: Asmath Muhammad, Nick Nelson, Marhefka, Tyler Starr, Brian Lyons, and the rest of this field did not qualify. They will sit trackside tonight. Harsh reality, Benson. We've seen some messy driving tonight, especially at the starts of these races. Got to keep it clean or you will not advance.
Yeah, and it's good and all if you're aggressive, but if you can't make it to the end of the race, it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter, and you can take out people with you as well. I think we saw that be the case for a couple of drivers. Some that had some self-inflicted pain here, but for the most part, drivers that got caught up in some other people's issues as well. Well, in just a minute, we're going to go racing for 20 minutes, and this is going to change the game here a little bit. We've got that short pace lap where you don't get a lot of opportunity to warm up your tires, warm up your brakes, Benson, but then 20 minutes, you got enough time to overcook things, overheat your brakes, overheat your tires. So how do you treat this different?
You really have to look at it more towards a standard endurance race at that point. It's not quite an endurance race where you have to come into the pits, but trying to manage your tires on the opening lap and not cooking them too quickly is going to be real key here.
Warm up here, just finishing up. And now we've watched our battles midfield. We've watched it cut lines for 15th and for 10th all night long. The battle now is going to be for that top spot. O'Gorman, Alessandrini, Paul Darling, Matt Corrence, Brian Heitkotter, and more will all be fighting for the win here in week 1. Now, there's no continuity here this season. We're not carrying points from one week to the next. It's all about just having fun here on a Tuesday night. So there's nothing really on the line here except for bragging rights and the ability to beat 61 other competitors in total here this evening. Heading down to the racetrack now, and on the left-hand side of the screen is going to be your starting lineup for this one. And Tom O'Gorman is your pole sitter in that number 94 ASM Hawk Performance Aston Martin. Paul Darling will start alongside him on the outside of the front row. Morgan Burkhardt, DJ Alessandrini, Jamison Huffman, Victor Tanaka. The rest of your third row, the Matt Corrence, Austin Cobb, Brian Heitkotter, James Houghton, the rest of your top 10. Drivers to watch from outside of that top 10. Peter Zhang, a really good launch. And actually, look at the not fast guys starting on a kitty corner there. There's the number 4, Peter Zhang, and the number 15 of Alex Artea, 18th and 19th.
Yeah, and some other competitors to watch out for. Ryan Kristoff starting there in 22nd, and Anthony Montello in 26th.
And of course, all the way at the tail in 40th place, Kevin Zhu qualified in. That last moment spin by Eric Dalla Riva. So O'Gorman rolls off here, heading up the hill. 40 drivers, 20 minutes. GRIDLIFE iRacers Fun Run Tuesday, week number 1 of 5.
And Tom, let's see if he slows everybody down to try and get a good jump on him for the start.
If he waits for the green or if he will launch separately. There he goes. Green flag flies, and we're racing the GRIDLIFE iRacers Tuesday Fun Run here. 20 minutes on the board.
Aggressive cut over there by DJ in the background.
Oh, lock up! Morgan Burkhardt immediately locks up the tires and goes shooting off towards the wall in turn 1, and Austin Cobb goes with. And more drivers getting involved in a turn 1, lap 1 collision.
That's unfortunate. Looks like 5 or 6 drivers at least involved. But as a result, Tomo gets a massive lead over, looks like Jameson Huffman comes out of that in second.
Alessandrini has to bail. He's in the fence. A rare mistake by the number 2. That just goes to show you how hard it is to get these things slowed on down. But more lockups midfield there. But a big, big mistake in the, oh, that took out Paul Darling. I didn't even notice that down there at turn number 1, but he was all out with that group.
Wonder
if we can go back and see. Yeah, he was one of the drivers caught up in this. Oh, this was a DJ bounced off of somebody.
Yeah, it looks like Jameson Huffman there to the inside of DJ. Bounce off each other. Oh no, DJ tapped the curb.
Yeah, did he just all on his own here?
Hard to tell from that angle.
Yeah, just got loose.
Oh, that's unfortunate for Paul.
Yeah, that's it for Paul Darling. Just like that, first lap, turn 1, and taken out by a driver that you wouldn't expect to have an incident like that in the opening moments. James Houghton up to 5th place in the number 41, Matthew Morehart. Alessandrini back here in 7th as O'Gorman leads by 1.1 seconds.
Yeah, and we'll see how DJ manages this charge that he's going to have to try and make to just catch up to Tomo, but it's going to be tough with this big of a gap already.
Into turn 1, Houghton under fire from Morehart. This is a tight battle here for 5th place. And Huffman is actually, for a moment, had Tomo reeled in just a little bit, under a second, for a brief moment.
Yeah, it looks like Matt Corrence running 3rd with Highcotter running 4th.
Yeah, both these drivers, current GLTC competitors, Corrence in a Civic, Highcotter in a 370Z. And here comes Alessandrini on the brakes into turn 5.
Will he get 2 and 1?
Might, if he can hold this up the hill at turn 6. And he does.
Great move on the brakes there. 1 lap after, unfortunately, spearing off into that outside wall slightly.
Behind, I think, Matt Adams back here in the mix as well, trying to cross over, cross under Ryan Carwile and Dakota Tabler. Tabler? Someone tried to spell that out to me in the Twitch chat, and I don't know. Fundamentally, just wrote T-A-A-A-A-B, so I don't know if that's Tabler or Tabler. Tabler probably is my guess. Oh,
look.
Artea off track. He's got his teammate Peter Zhang behind him.
Yeah, we'll see if those two will work together. Looks like Artea might let Peter by here into Canada Corner.
Teammates but competitors. Mike Leader in the mix back here. James Houghton a little slow in the not fast teammates swerve to the left. Then gets by Arteat left in the dust.
Yeah, I wonder what happened there for Houghton to be slow. Maybe he got a cut penalty?
I think he just ran wide there at the exit of Canada. Yeah, just off in the grass there you see.
Well, somewhat fitting as James is Canadian.
Yeah, it's off in Canada corner of all places. And trying
Looks
to
like
recover that here on Peter Zhang into turn 1, but not enough overlap.
Up front, that gap is stabilizing it right around a second.
I was going to say, Tom is very quick, but last time by, Huffman was a little bit faster, 0.02 faster, actually, in that 44.
Yeah, and it looks like Tom's going to start running into some lap traffic here, so we'll see how both of these drivers manage that.
That'll be a good fight to watch. Ryan Christoph's got a gaggle of cars behind him. Ryan Finch is one of them. That's that black and white Corvette behind the black and yellow one. Up the hill towards turn 6, side by side.
Yeah, and Finch, Curtis James, and Dana there, all three of them started from the back, towards the back, coming out of the last chance qualifier, running in the mid-teens.
Been a rough ride though. Look at the nose of that 99.
Yeah, it looks like the side got bashed in too.
Still rolling. He's up a whole bunch of spots from where he started, so continues that climb.
Yeah, not far behind them, Brenner Del Mar, and looks like Victor Tanaka had some issues lap 1. So he's trying to climb back towards the top there.
Yeah, just a couple of telltale marks there, specifically on the right rear. See that damage on that car,
Yeah.
so that's where most of that lack of track position comes from. He's going to go by the 99 of Basinski, who's definitely down on straightaway speed with all that drag from all the damage he's got.
Yeah, some good recovery drives so far.
Here's Highcotter under fire from Alessandrini.
Looks like just getting past some lap traffic there as well.
Over the crest here into turn 3. Highcotter, part of Chris Forsberg Racing. A couple GLTC wins to his name back in 2021, all at Pikes Peak International Raceway. Alessandrini's got some wins at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. And the lead battle continues to be about 9/10 of a second. Huffman about 3/100ths faster than Tomo last time around. So this is still not done yet up at the front as we go back a little bit deeper here. Peter Zhang, James Houghton going back at it for 9th.
Yeah, it looks like Arteat has dropped off slightly from this battle, but we'll see if the two teammates can possibly sandwich Houghton.
Bessemer, big dive here on Adam Corrence. Bessemer's in the purple car. Corrence has got big time damage on the nose, and Justin Hall is around at turn 6.
So, a little bit of a sketchy rejoin there, but everybody clears.
I'll see what happened to him up here. Might have just overcooked it again. Yep. Locks up the rear tires, and around he goes.
Yep. And does well to get off the racing surface first, but speaking of which, he leaves the racing surface slightly again.
DJ right on top of the number 05 of Highcotter. Good clean battle. So Huffman just lost a bunch of ground to Tomo that lap, so I think the 44 made a mistake. Down to 1.6 seconds behind. Highcotter locks up big time at 14. Here comes the 2.
Yeah, DJ gets a good run out of 14 and should be able to clear Highcotter.
Turn 1 here, though. Yeah, Ryan lifts. He lifts the throttle there and lets DJ on by. So Huffman lost 6/10 to Tomo that lap, but they were both still faster than third place Matt Corrence.
Yeah, looks like possibly Huffman was pushing those tires super hard to keep up with Tomo. They may start to fall off. So we got 2 cars.
Naka spins at turn 1. Keeping right on board and catch the other car. He was taking a look at Number 87 to Curtis James into turn 1 again. Just has this big run. Drives in super deep. And just catches the curb on exit.
Yeah, just that little bit of dirt on the outside of that curb, and Tanaka's out. Dana is around as well.
Yeah, just innocent spin there at the exit of turn 3, drops to 23rd. Huffman now under fire though from Matt Corrins. I think the 44 is fading. It's bringing the 42 here into prominence.
And like we said at the beginning of this race, tire management is coming into play here. We're about halfway through.
Whoa!
And
Huffman in the grass at the kink. And Corrins is definitely in his mirrors. Here he comes, swings to the right.
thinks better of that move though, and see if he'll try and do something out of 14.
Oh, a little wobbly there, grabs some dirt on the right side tires. Halfway through this race now, and they're letting Tamo drive away. The 94 is out front and checking out in that ASM 94.
Yep, and so far he's running pretty consistent laps here. And just, as Huffman tries to hang around the outside.
Into turn 3 now, Huffman tries to outbrake Corrins, but Corrins gets a really good run through the middle of the corner, but he can't carry it an exit, has to tuck back in line. And you see the run that Huffman got rim riding, but now look at the draft. The draft is going to bring Corrins right back to him. Tries to throw the block, but Corrins gets there.
Yeah, it gets super tight into this braking zone. Corrins breaks a little earlier, but can Huffman hold it around the outside here?
Does, but now turn 6 is another left-hander, and Corrins has to tuck back. This is a great battle here for second place.
A little bit of a touch there as well at the apex of 6.
Both going to be wide in the grass, hunting for speed.
See how long this battle goes on between these two. It could possibly bring DJ and Highcotter back into this battle for second.
They're about 3.8 seconds back, but closing very quickly. This is far from over, especially with, wow, look at Corrins there at the time trying to rim ride the outside of the kink. Using the slipstream here, speeds 172 miles an hour before the brakes here into Canada Corner.
And Huffman running just a little wide there might bring Corrins back in for this front straight.
All about turn 14. Good exit there by Huffman, though. That should be a good defensive run to save him at least this time through. Quickly deeper in the field, Christoph and Tabler in the 79.
And these two have been fighting for a little bit. Christoph coming from 22nd to his current position of 13th. Not too far behind them, Curtis James coming from 39th to 15th. Some fast risers here. Up towards the front, though, it looks like Matt Corrins has gotten past Jameson Huffman.
Yeah, he did. Let's see if we can go back and catch how that happened here. Oh, it was a mistake, and they're going to trade it right back down here at turn 5.
Corrins grabbing just a little bit of grass on the inside of 5 as well. That's major damage to a 10 of Adam Corrins.
Carwile, Zhang, and Houghton. This is all a battle for 8th place. This is getting pretty spicy here. Corvette, Aston Martin that Houghton is driving.
Yep, we'll bring Mike Leader into this as well, just behind Alex Ortea. So it could become a 5-car battle very shortly.
Trouble ahead of them though. Matthew Morehart spins at turn 8. Let's see how this happened.
Grabs a little, maybe a little bit too much on the exit here. Just over-rotates the car.
Houghton all over Peter Zhang here. This is a great battle for 8th. See the arrow push though. Houghton struggling to get the car turned in.
But he's got that draft going into Canada corner. He gets a slightly better run. Now become a 6-car battle here with Morhart dropping back to see if he will try and fight his way through this pack.
5 minutes remaining in this race, and this is a great scrap here behind Carwile, Zhang, Houghton, Artea. Into turn 1 here, straightaway speeds again over 170, and Zhang closes up here, but you see him bobble on entry there, just not comfortable, and Artea's off at turn 1.
That just locks up the brakes ever so slightly and spears off into the tire barrier there.
Right here, just on the brakes. You see, I wonder if he kind of blipped a little bit funky there, and the car looked like it stopped slowing down and then just skids right through the gravel and off at turn number 1. Back to second place, Huffman and Corrins.
Yeah, running quite close here. Corrins slightly slower, 0.3 of a second slower over the last lap. But going back to that Artea incident, these cars, unlike the newer race cars that we have nowadays, they have a standard sequential. As Huffman wide.
You see Huffman there grab some grass and got mega sideways there, and now Corrins with another big run. 8 seconds behind Tomo. They're not going to catch him in the next 2 or 3 laps, but they are certainly going to get run down from Alessandrini, who is coming with a vengeance.
It looks like Alessandrini has dropped Highcutter a little bit as well. Highcutter faded a little comparatively. This could become a 3-car battle for the last 2 spots on the podium. But as I was saying, these cars have a regular sequential that requires a throttle blip on downshift. And so if you over blip or under blip, it could throw the balance of the car off.
Zhang and Morhart. This is a battle for 10th here, top 10 in their first race of the season. Zhang has had a phenomenal night in this number 4 not fast Corvette. And Morhart, he had a spin. He's trying to recover from it and get back into the top 10.
It looks like Morhart doesn't quite have the run to make a move into 1, but looks like Houghton under fire again.
Yeah, he's got Carwile and Mike Leader in the 53. This is a great 5-car battle for about 6th place. Make that 7th place. Matt Adams is driven away from Houghton.
And looks like Leader's going to try and go for the inside line against Carwile here.
Oh, look out. Peter Zhang hot into turn 5. He got it blowed down. And now up front, it's a 3-horse race for 2nd place. Huffman, Corrins, and now Alessandrini, the Lizard Brains vet, has joined the party.
We'll see how Corrins reacts, and will he go slightly more defensive, or will he try and chase after Huffman again?
Battles all over the top 10 right now. Some good stuff back here. Zhang and Morhart still fighting for that top 10 spot. Zhang a little bit quicker on the first half of the lap. The second half of the lap seems to struggle.
Yeah, Morhart holding a slightly tighter line that lap through the carousel. Maybe he has a little bit more tire left in that Corvette.
So next time by, we should be coming to, all right, this is going to be 2 laps to go because Tom is far enough up the road that we had more than 2 minutes remaining. So we have about 8 miles of this race remaining. 2nd place battle has kind of stalled out for a second, but this one for 10th, Morhart has gotten around Peter Zhang, so moved the 50 up to 10th.
It looks like Zhang might try and make a run out of 14 here, but might not be close enough by the end of the straight.
Drivers up front, separated back out. DJ has lost a little bit of ground to Corrins. He's 1.2 back From there now, Houghton and Leader continue their battle. This has been a really good night for Houghton too. I don't really recall him running with us extensively in the past. He's certainly been in our group, but he hasn't run extensively with us in iRacing, and certainly hasn't had the luck that kind of goes with his pace. Tonight though, he has, up in 7th place. Mike Leader, whoop, as I say that, a bobble, and I almost commentator cursed him there, Benson.
Yeah, that was a good save there by Houghton. As right behind him, looks like Morehart makes a move on Carlisle. Or excuse me, that was Peter Zhang. Yeah. Carlisle is dropped back to 11th now after leading this group of 5 for a majority of this race.
Yeah, Peter Zhang back up into 10th place, continuing his good night. And as for second, Lawrence is back to about a half second back from Huffman. Last time around was about 4/10 slower than the 44. And he's going to have 1 lap left as Tomo gets into some lap traffic, but he leads the way. He has been flawless tonight and just ran, get this, his fastest lap of the race at a 1:58.735.
Looks like he's getting a tow from that lap traffic though, so there might be some of that pace, but
was the
Tomo
39 of Morgan Burkhardt that drove off track in lap 1, turn 1. So he's fast.
Yeah. He's giving Tomo a tow around Road America for that fastest lap.
Back for second, 4/10 between those drivers, and now Houghton, with a little bit of a slip up, has dropped in behind Mike Leader, who flashes the headlights at some lap traffic they're approaching on, and Morehart back in the mix here on Houghton for 8th.
It looks like that lap traffic is Matt Howard, who had that unfortunate incident earlier on in this race and just dropped back significantly. But it doesn't look like he's yielding yet, so this could get interesting into 5.
Oh, Alessandrini's got problems in the number 2. He's off at turn 8, I think.
Yeah, it looks.
Oh, it's turn 6.
Oh, just locks up that right rear on the grass. Got it, kept it going, thankfully, but
yeah, back to 6th place on the final lap of all laps to make that mistake. Like, this battle has been fantastic all night. Really, Leader, Houghton, Morehart, Zhang, Carlisle, they should all be really proud of the race that they've had. They've really enjoyed some good competitive fighting. Tom O'Gorman, though, has been well clear of everybody, and despite having Huffman on his tail at the beginning of the race, O'Gorman will kick off the esports season like he ended the real world season, winning victory lane for the number 94 ASM Hawk Performance. Aston Martin drops the tires in the grass the old-fashioned way like he does and wins it here at Road America. Huffman comes across the line with Corrence trailing 2nd and 3rd for these two.
And some very good battles between 2nd and 3rd there as we go back to Houghton in 8th.
Ooh.
Can he hold on?
Morehart threw it in there, tried to grab a spot, but almost got into the back of the 41. They didn't. And Peter Zhang, this is a really good night for Peter. Be proud of that run. Top 10 for the Not Fast Motorsport Turn-In Concepts car. Carlisle, Tabler, Christoph, Curtis James, and Brenner Del Mar are top 15.
And shout out to Curtis James for that run from 39th on the grid to 14th in the race.
And you know what else I like about Curtis James? There was not a scratch on that car.
Yeah, that is a very clean looking Corvette.
Well done by him and some others. Let's have a look at our race results here. Tom O'Gorman gets it done, wins week 1 here of the Tuesday Fun Run. Jamison Huffman 2nd, Matt Corrence, Ike Cotter, Adams, Alessandrini, Leader, Houghton, Morehart, and Peter Zhang. And Alessandrini, for the first time in a long time, has finished outside the top 5 because of his own issues, not because of something else.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate break there for DJ, but he'll look to recover for next week's event.
All right, looking down the rest of the order, Houghton with an 8th place run. Peter Zhang, as I mentioned, a phenomenal run for him. Then down Curtis James from 39th to 14th. Christoph up in the top 15 there as well. And from here on out, this is the drivers that had a tough night. See the -1 lap there from Morgan Burkhardt off at turn 1, lap 1. Alex Arteyet and some others that had a bad run tonight. Some that just got caught up. Cobb, Kevin Zhu, Val DiPietro, Paul Darling. Man, you got to feel for him. I think he could have won this race with the pace that he had.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see him get taken out lap 1, but such is racing sometimes. It's sometimes out of our own control.
Out of our own control for sure. Tuesday Fun Run, week number 1 goes to Tom O'Gorman. And we're going to skip the interviews this week, but we'll be back next week with our second combination. And Benson, we've had a fun schedule planned for this year. And we talked about this first week. Obviously, we're already through the broadcast here. But we also have rallycross cars coming up next week. I think we've got Formula 4s coming up at Laguna Seca. So that'll be fun. Oh, we do have Tomo here. Tom is joining the party. He begins the esports season where he left off with the real world season in Victory Lane. Tom, congratulations. Had some fight there at the beginning from Huffman, but a lot of carnage behind you kept you from having some drivers mixing it up with you up front.
And Kyle, I got to tell you, my Hawk Performance Bridgestone tire, Aston Martin DBR9, whatever it's called, was amazing tonight. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It sucks to see all your friends behind get involved in an incident, and these are really tough cars to drive, probably like pretty high risk, low reward ultimately, but it was very rewarding to feel like I did a good job in these cars, and it's a car that's always clicked for me. So and it was extra fun there for the second half of the race. You guys probably didn't get to watch much of. I got to basically chase Morgan Burkhardt, who was
we saw it.
Yeah, he was going to be the battle for the lead anyway, so it was a lot of fun to kind of have that rabbit and does this count as win 21 for this livery? I don't know.
Yeah, I'll count it. I mean, Tom, I have to say, you did an absolutely phenomenal job painting this car. It is so pretty. And look, I thought I liked your previous livery a lot, but I like this one even better.
Thanks. I like it a lot too, and I don't plan on spending many hours every week painting it, but I knew it would look really good on this car, and I'm glad the whole thing paid off with, I didn't waste a bunch of time crashing it into a wall.
Do you think it can translate to an F4 car? Because that's what we're racing next week.
Well, I'm traveling next week, so not an F4 car, but I love rally cars. I love Dale machines in a couple weeks.
Dale machines?
What's the last one? Whatever the last one is. I'm sure I like that too.
Oh, the GR86.
Oh, see, now that'll be interesting.
Yeah, you have one, sort of.
I do, yeah. I'll just go practice in the streets for a little bit.
Definitely don't do that. But so the schedule just for Tom and for everybody else watching. We did the GT1s at Road America, F4s at Laguna Seca, then rallycross cars at Mid-Ohio. No rules to that one. We're clearing black flags every lap. Then 1987 NASCAR stock cars at Watkins Glen. Then the GR86 at Sebring to round off the season. Tom, congratulations. Well earned for that Hawk Performance ASM livery. Getting it done here again in iRacing. Congrats.
Thanks.
All right, we'll see you next time. All right, wrapping things up here, Benson. Tomo gets it done and wins the race. But, yeah, some takeaways from this. Drivers get themselves into trouble here early. But I think next week with the F4 cars, there's just going to be so much you can break that you're not going to want to touch anybody for any reason.
Yeah, I feel like we're going to have a lot less close racing in the F4 cars compared to this week, but we'll see how that shakes out.
All right, that's going to do it for us tonight here on GridLife Live. We'll see you next week on Tuesday for Formula 4 cars at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Kyle Heyer with Benson Ty. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.